Is there much of a difference for you between a newborn and almost newborn? In other words, still in the womb, but not yet birthed. Like there seems to be no magic category that says, oh, it's all right for an abortion to happen if the baby's not yet been born.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a continuum, and to that extent, the people who are opposed to abortion have a point. That is that they say, well, where is the magic cutoff line? And their argument, of course, is, look, it's all a continuum, so you've got to go back to conception. There's no cutoff line after conception.
And when they do that, they're talking about things like ensoulment. It's not just that it's human life, but that it's sacred human life. God put a soul in the Homo sapien, or something like that, right?
Yeah, I don't know how they know when God puts the soul in. I mean, people have had different views about that through the history of Christianity. Yeah, that may be their view, but a more defensible anti-abortion view, I think, would just say, well, because it's all a continuum, we should just start with conception. But my view is, yes, it's a continuum, but there are significant points in the development that make the killing more serious, and the two most significant points are, firstly, the development of some sort of consciousness, and secondly, the development of some self-awareness. And that does take you past birth, and that's why it challenges the conventional views, and that's why basically most of the pro-choice people don't really want to talk about that, because they know that politically that's not a good move. But I do think that it's implicit in the idea that the fetus does not have a right to life, is that you have to say something about when the right to life develops.
And that it develops because of these mental qualities.
Yeah, well, that's my view, that it develops because of mental qualities. I mean, the problem is to say otherwise, to say what is it about birth that makes such a difference, given that you can have a premature infant born at 6 months of gestation, and you can have a fetus in the womb at 7 or 8 months of gestation. So does birth make such a difference? I find that a little difficult to defend, the view that the location inside or outside of the womb makes all the difference. Now, of course, the pro-choice movement would say, well, we're talking about the woman's choice to control her own body. And that's okay as far as it goes, but of course it doesn't help you much when you come to embryos and stem cell research, because they're never in the woman's body. So if the whole argument in favor of abortion is supposed to be based on the right of the woman to control her body and not on anything about the status of the embryo or fetus, you've got a problem in saying why it's okay to destroy the embryos for stem cell research.
The other problem with that pro-choice argument seems to be that to many religious thinkers, they hear the pro-choice argument that it's just a woman's right to choose as being it's a woman's right to choose to do the wrong thing or to murder a baby. In other words, if you remove discussion about the moral status of the fetus and make it all about almost property rights or privacy rights, the personal rights of the woman to choose, you're not even touching on whether or not it's ethical to make that choice. You're just talking about how you have the right to make that choice, ethical or not.
Yes. I mean, then you get into debates about, well, do women have rights to choose even if they're going to choose something that is unethical? On some theories of the role of the state, people would say, well, you do have a right to choose what's unethical. The state shouldn't be a nanny and should tell you what's right or wrong. Right. But I guess the anti-abortion people are really going to say that you have to protect the rights of the fetus against the rights of the woman. And so then we get back to the question of whether the fetus has a right to life. And that's why I don't think we can really avoid looking at that question. I just think that when you look at it, it doesn't come out the way that the anti-abortion people want it to come out.
We're getting tight on time, but I'd still love to talk to you about animal rights and vegetarianism, your views on that, which caused a stir at our conference last year when you kind of challenged Richard Dawkins on the issue. Would you mind joining me next week just to continue our discussion, because there's a lot more ground to cover?
Sure, DJ. I'll be happy to do that.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining me on Point of Inquiry. Peter Singer.
Thanks. It's been good to be with you.